Been a while, and Monday, May 6, 1985, and I'm interviewing Robert A. Schaaf, 89 Christmas Street, Wabash, Indiana, and the interview is taking place at the Wabash Community Public Library. And Bob, the first question I'm going to ask you is, tell me a little bit about your family, about your dad, about your mom, your mother's maiden name, and their family, and so forth, and your brothers, and so forth.
Okay, my dad is Robert E. Schaaf. He was born in LaGray, Indiana, and he grew up around Wabash. And my mother's maiden name is Mary Barone, Barone, and he was born in Three Rivers, Michigan. And when my father entered the service during World War II, I met my mother in Three Rivers, Michigan, and when he got back from World War II, they got married, and their first boy was Martin Schaaf, my brother, and then I was the second born, and I was born in September the 17th of 1939, and we lived around Michigan for 3 years, and then we moved back to Indiana. And I went to school at Eastwood, during grade school, and from there I went to Wabash Junior High down here on Hill Street, and from there I went out to Wabash High School. And my brother was 2 years ahead of me, and he joined the Marine Corps in 1966, and he went to Vietnam, and that was in 1967. He was there in 67, 68, and I just thought I'd try to do what my brother could, and I figured if he could make it through the Marine Corps, I could too, so I went ahead and joined the Marine Corps about 2 weeks before I graduated. And when I did graduate in May, in 1968, I graduated in May of 68, okay. And 2 weeks after I joined the Marine Corps, I got a phone in the mail from the U.S. Army that I was going to be drafted into the Army. So I took my induction form down to the Marine recruiter and asked him what I should do with it. And he says, do you want to do it or should I? And I said, what's that? He said, tear it up. Because, we already got you in the Marine Corps. And I said, I can just go ahead and do what you want to with it. So at least I got to join a bunch of the service I wanted to join, and I spent 16 weeks or 14 weeks in boot camp. I had 2 weeks of basic infantry training after boot camp. Then I had 2 weeks of advanced infantry training after the basic infantry training. Yeah. So this is in Camp Canton in California, and so I had 4 extra weeks of additional training to prepare me for Vietnam. And I got a 30-day leave to come home, and I just done anything I could when I got home. I went back to Camp Canton, and the first, it was about the 3rd of December, I went back to Camp Canton, and my MOS was A311, and that's infantry or grunt, and I got my orders to go to Vietnam, and one person that was went through basic training with me was Ron Schaaf, and anyway, we got our orders to go to Vietnam, and that weekend we took off and went to Tijuana, Mexico, and so we spent the weekend down there, and like everybody else, I guess, I thought well, I got to get a tattoo, so I got a tattoo on my arm. Just show, I was in the Marine Corps, I guess, and then we got back from Carolina on Monday, and Wednesday, Ron Schaaf took off, and I didn't have no idea where he went or anything, and I guess he didn't come back to Wabash, and his dad or some relation gave him some money to take off, and as far as I know, he never had to go to Vietnam, and I couldn't figure out why he'd do something like that, but I don't know, everybody reacts to going to Vietnam differently, I guess, but I figured, well, if my brother was over there, I could, do my part too, and
what happened?
They finally caught him about 3 months later, and they sent Ronnie back to Camp Fountain to the brig, and I guess he caused a bunch of trouble while he was still in the brig, and they just kept him for about a year and a half in the brig, and then they gave him a dishonorable discharge, and skipped his ass out, but
is he around now?
I don't know where he's at now. I don't really care. But let's see. Anyway, I got my orders to go to Vietnam, and it was right around Christmas time, and I was away from home, on Christmas and everything, and I went to a USA club, and my family out in California invited me over for Christmas dinner and everything, and they was pretty liberal with their booze and everything, and I really had a good time, at their house, and I was glad people, there's people around that, done stuff for the servicemen like that, and I was only supposed to stay overnight, and I stayed there for 3 days, 2 days. I could have been going over, but my group hadn't left yet. And, we took a bus from Camp Pendleton and went to Schaaf Air Force Base, and that's where I flew out of the United States to go to Vietnam. And anyway, over we stopped at Hawaii to get refueled, and then we stopped at the Philippines, but we wasn't allowed to leave the air terminal. And there was 2 guys that did leave and, trying to get out of going to Vietnam, but there wasn't really that many. And,
you were just all going over as a station?
Right.
Now, was this civilian or military aircraft?
This is civilian, business airline.
Yeah.
And, all the new guys, us, we sat in the rear of the plane, and the officers and MCA, they, set up in the first class section and everything, and the stewardess, they were really nice to us, and there wasn't no drinking allowed, but I guess if you had a bottle on you, could, drink some. And, anyway, my outfit finally, landed at, Okinawa, Kaduna Air Force Base, in, Okinawa, and, I had to stay there for 3 weeks because my brother was still in country, and they wouldn't allow 2 brothers to be in the same war zone or something like that. And finally, about January the 29th, I just out policing the area around where our bullets was, and I thought I recognized somebody, and I took off running towards him. And he was walking, it was my brother, and he was walking away from me. Hey, Marty, how you doing? Hey, what that means? We wasn't, being new guys going over, we couldn't go to the MCA clubs or anything like this. But my brother, he was a sergeant, and he talked to the sergeant that was in charge of us replacement, and anyway, make a long story short, my brother told him, either let me go or he's going to do something. And anyway, that night I got to spend with my brother, and we went around Okinawa to different clubs, and we went off the base, and I wasn't supposed to be off the base. And you could tell, all the new guys, you could tell he was new guys because of the fatigues he was wearing, and they all had big haircuts. But the guys coming back, they just had a look, that you just had a look to you that wasn't like civilians. So anyway, that night my brother, he was trying to tell me what to look out for, and he knocked the trust and things like this. And but my brother was an engineer, and I was infantry, so I guess he really couldn't tell me too much about survival in Vietnam. But anyway, I at least got to see my brother before I went to Vietnam, because I hadn't seen him for about 2 years since he was in the Marine Corps. And so 2 days after I left my brother, on February the 2nd, I arrived in Vietnam on C-130. And I just, my first impression when I got off the plane, I guess, was, hey, this is all right, it's, a nice country, at least it looked like it, Well, I arrived in the daytime, it wasn't night or anything, and I didn't know what to expect. And anyway, they herded us into some buildings, and they started calling off what outfit you're going to be with, 9th Marines, 5th Marines, 1st Marines, the 26th, or whatever, and my name was called for the 1st Marine, 5th Marine Division, and we was located in An Hoa, Vietnam, and that was about 32 miles southwest of Da Nang. And that was the location for 1st Marine, 5th Marine Division in Vietnam. And anyway, I flew the helicopter from Da Nang to An Hoa, and I really liked the scenery out there. Parts of it was green and water and a lot of bomb craters, and anyway, we landed at An Hoa, and I got to spend 2 days in An Hoa. It was the further outpost, and it was the furthest outpost for the Marines in Vietnam as far as going westward, because the Laotian Mountains were behind our base, about maybe 18 miles, something like that. And so for 2 days I was, checked out my gear I need while I was there, my M16, helmet and flight jacket, magazines, bandoliers, and packs, and poncho liners, and things like that. And on the 3rd day, I got taken to my company, and my company in Vietnam was Delta Company, and they called us Dying Delta, or Deadly Delta. But it seemed like, I didn't know it at the time, but it seemed like if there was any trouble, Delta Company always found it, or it was in it somehow. And anyway, on my 3rd day, we flew out from my company, and we was out in Horseshoe. It was one of the areas of operations, and
was that a 5-day thing?
No, it was just our company was on an operation. It was called Operation Horseshoe, and the reason it was called Operation Horseshoe was where we was at was by the Song Bong Daung River, and where the river made a bend that was in the shape of a horseshoe, so that was called it Operation Horseshoe. And my company, Delta Company, had already been out there for like 16 days, and it wound up, it was a 26-day operation.
Purpose?
there was supposed to be NVOs in the area, and they had weapon caches and rice caches, and we were supposed to go out and destroy their food and supplies. And anyway, when I arrived, it was in the daytime, and they was getting resupplied, and that's why I got to go out on a helicopter, I guess. But when I arrived, they loaded 3 dead bodies on the helicopter when I arrived, and they had just had a mortar attack. And but me, I was a new guy. I didn't know what the hell was going on or nothing. And anyway, I got off the helicopter and I noticed them, loading 3 guys on. I figured they was wounded guys, but come to find out, they was dead Marines in there. So I spent 14 more days out at the Horseshoe with them, and that night we come under I guess a small battle. I don't know. They all seemed not to last too long. It might have lasted 10 minutes at the most. And we was getting incoming mortar rounds and B-40 rockets and AK-47s and machine gun fire. And the guy I just met, Lance Corporal Montgoy, when I got there that afternoon, he was trying to tell me the best way to protect myself when we did receive fire. Don't try to be no hero and keep your head up, to shoot and everything. When you hear the tracking, when you hear the AK-47 quit tracking, just put your rifle up, up over your head and try not to stick your head up. Just make sure you return the fire. Try to give suppressing firepower. And anyway, that night, a rocket hit behind us, and Montgoy, he got hit in the throat with a piece of shrapnel, and it just ripped the front of his neck out, and he was he was dead in like 10 seconds. He was just gone. And that was the first time I really seen somebody dead face to face. And I couldn't, it looked like he was sleeping. I couldn't believe, I didn't freak out or nothing. I yelled for a medic like anybody else did, and our medic just told me, there wasn't nothing he could do for him. We'd probably have to ship him out the next morning because we couldn't afford to bring helicopters in that night since, we was under attack. And so me and the medics moved Montgoy maybe about 30 feet away from us and covered him up with poncho line and everything. And the next morning we shipped him out. And anyway, the next morning they shipped him out. And about on the 27th day, something like that, we went back to Liberty Bridge. Now, Liberty Bridge is a fire base. It was a bridge that went across the Songbong River, and it always had a company of Marines at Liberty Bridge. What we would do, like Delta Company would be out in the bush for 18, 32, 26 days. We'd come back, Delta Company would come back to Liberty Bridge, and Echo Company would relieve us for Foxtrot or Golf. It depended on what company was there. And then,
the Liberty Bridge, would that be a base or a fire base?
Yes, it was a fire base, Liberty Bridge. Yes, we had concertina wire and one watchtower. Yeah. But nobody wanted to be up in the watchtower. Yeah. And usually we'd be like at the fire base for 5 days at the most, and then we'd get relieved by another company and we would go out on an operation. And another fire base was Henderson Hill, And it was 9 miles from Anwa, and it was 6 miles from Liberty Village. And villages around there was really friendly to us, and we would give them our food rations and, Coke and cigarettes, and the kids, they would, for a couple cigarettes, they'd give you a bath and everything, wash you down. And the villages around Henderson Hill, they was really nice. They'd let you know about Viet Cong or North Vietnamese activity. But I think it was my second month over there, 2 of the villages were assassinated for, giving the Marines information on, they was trying to, tell a village, they were giving them a warning, keep it up, we're going to kill you and all that. And so anyway, the villages, they took it in turn, took it in stride. I guess, they live with it day by day anyway, and night by night. And so I guess it's like during the daytime they was friendly with us Marines, and at nighttime they was friendly with the Viet Cong. But we had been on one operation called Weeping Willows. And that's they call it Weeping Willows is because a lot of guys died during this operation. And there's some parts of it I can't really remember, what happened, because I don't know, it was so quick. Everything happened so quick and fast. I guess it's better I just don't remember what did happen. But that was the first, on this operation, Weeping Willows was the first time I ever seen NBA soldiers in uniform, helmets, and when I was on this operation, like anybody else, I was curious. I was just a new guy, and I flipped one of the dead NBA over, and hell, he had a wallet in his pocket, and this guy had a girlfriend, and she had a couple kids too, I guess, because he had a picture on him, and he had letters in his pocket from his girlfriend, and combs, and anyway, I put stuff back on him. I wasn't no souvenir hunter, and anyway, on Operation Weeping Willows, I think this was a 16-day operation, and from the first day we went on this operation.
This is company, Delta Company?
Yes, Delta Company. Okay. And we was out for 16 days, and from the first day of the operation, we received fire, or we went in the firefights. And some of these firefights only lasted like 2 to 3 minutes. It was just something to harass you, that was it. It was just something to, keep you thinking. And at first when I went over there, I thought, while they told us in boot camp, while we were trying to stop communist aggression in South Vietnam, the South Vietnamese don't care for the North Vietnamese, and they want to be their own country, I guess. But after that first operation in Horseshoe, the only reason I was there was to save my ass. I wasn't worried about the South Vietnamese. I wasn't worried about the people or nothing. I knew after the first firefight I had to save my ass. So I wasn't worried about communist aggression or nothing. It was you, save yourself. And we really tried not to get attached to anybody. Because one hour, in some cases, they'd be there, and the next hour they'd be gone, and Other times, you'd know somebody for a couple of weeks, seemed like he was really getting tight, and the next thing you know, they hit a landmine or something, got blew up, or got killed in a firefight or something. So I never really did get attached to anybody very well. I guess I've always been alone, but I always think of taking care of myself. But I'd always, any new guys that come there after their ride in Vietnam after I was there, I'd try to give them a few pointers about what to look for when you're on patrol, and what signs to look for when you go through villages or something like this. And
what signs did you look for going through a village?
well, at night time, there was never, if you seen people moving in a village at night time, there wasn't civilians. Civilians got sense enough to know at night time you don't go out and roam around the area. So if you ever see movement in a village at night time, it's Viet Cong or NVA. One time when we was on Operation Weeping Willow, we set on a night defensive perimeter, and we seen movement coming from their feet. And you know there wasn't supposed to be nobody moving around. So anyway, I opened up with my M16. I fired about maybe 5 shots, and there wasn't no more movement. So the next morning we went up there, and some old man went out during the night to take a shit, and he got shot. He wasn't dead, but he got shot a couple times. And we called in a helicopter for him, and our medics looked at him, and then we called in a chopper, and they took him to Anwar to get him fixed up. But that was just a mistake that he made on his part, because the people know they ain't supposed to be moving at night time around the villages. And so anyway, you'd never run up to wells, never go up to a well and try to get yourself water, because the ropes that the buckets on that hauls the water up to be booby traps. So I've seen it where somebody would jump on a rope to bring up a water pail, and there'd be an explosion. They had a tripwire on a grenade in the well or something, and or else they'd have a grenade. Sometimes they'd put a grenade into a water can, and they'd have a pin pulled on the grenade, but the steam would still be on the grenade. So you'd bring the water bucket up and dump the water out, and they'd fall out. The grenade would fall out, the steam would fly, and like 3 to 5 seconds, the grenade would go off. And that was one thing. A lot of times they'd have tripwires. You never wanted to travel on top of a paddy dike. You always walked across the paddy, the rice paddy. You walked through the water. A lot of people were afraid to get their feet wet. And those were the people that made mistakes and put the booby traps for walking on a paddy dike. So I learned, to walk through the paddy dike, walk through that.
What happened on this Operation Weeping Willow?
Well, on Operation Weeping Willow, it was an 18-day operation. And from the first day, our Delta company, we lost 6 guys on the first day. And on the second day, we lost a couple more guys, and I think 3 days or 4 days went by, and we didn't receive no fire. And there was a village out on Operation Weeping Willow. There was a village, and we received fire from this village during the night. So the next day we went into the village, and they had women that were making punji steaks and making booby traps, and we had our P-Hoy scout, Sergeant Song. We told them to get out of their village, but in a set amount of time, 2 or 3 hours, they had to clear the village because we was going to have it bombed. And a lot of the people wouldn't leave because I guess if they did leave, they would get retaliation from the North Vietnamese or from the Vietcong. And a lot of them stayed there, and our captain went ahead and told us.
Saying then that the captain called in the
Airstrike.
airstrike.
And we went back to the village after the airstrike, and I'd say there's over 20 dead civilians, and that really made you think a lot about kids back here in the United States. Like, you'd think about kids back here, playing with their yo-yos or hula hoops, and over in Vietnam, the kids got to put up with death every day, and that really shook me up. And but at least I know I didn't call in airstrike, and I didn't shoot anybody. And anyway, altogether on this operation, we lost 14 guys that were killed. And as far as wounded go, I imagine we had I lost 4 guys out of my squad, and I think we had over 30 wounded and about 20 killed on just this one operation. And finally, we got to go back to Anwa, and seemed like every time we come back off an operation, there'd always be Vietnamese girls or boys. They'd have cold beer for $1 or cold Coke for $1. I never could figure out where they got their ice from, but they'd always be the first ones to meet us on the road. Would be the kids selling the cold beer or cold pop. And
were you guys allowed to buy it?
yes, you could buy well, you could buy just about anything you wanted if you had the money. But as far as drugs or drinking while on patrol or operations, none of the guys in my squad done it. Because I wouldn't want to be out on patrol with somebody that was...
So you'd be walking back to the fire base?
Right. We always walked on our operations.
If you'd walk back and the kids would meet you and sell you a beer and Coke on the way back.
Right. And then...
it'd be just like coming home from a day's work or something.
Right.
Yeah.
And sometimes we'd have road patrol between Liberty Bridge and Anwa. They had a road that went from Da Nang to Liberty Bridge, and from Liberty Bridge it went to Anwa. That was how our Anwa mainly got supplied, was with this road. And sometimes we'd have road patrol, and because sometimes they did get ambushed and all that, and a lot of times when he was on road patrol, after the convoy went through, here'd come some Gooks or Vietnamese on a Honda motorcycle with a grill on the back, wanting to know if, you wanted a piece of ass or something. A carton of cigarettes to get you a piece of ass. I said, man, this is crazy. I couldn't believe it. And,
some war, huh?
yeah, it was crazy. And,
they bring
I
them
thought
right
about
out to
it.
the field.
Pardon?
They bring them right out to the field. Huh?
Yeah, all the way from Da Nang. Figured that, well, they did make some money. I'll have to put it, give them that much credit. And after I was there about 2 months, my company, Delta Company, sent me to Da Nang for landmine warfare school. And I didn't want to go. So I didn't want to leave my guys. I didn't want to leave the guys. And said, well, somebody's got to go. So about 9 of us guys got together and, picked a number, and we asked the sergeant to say a number, and our sergeant said a number, and that was my number. So I went to Da Nang. And about a week before, I got a letter that Phil Smith was in Vietnam. He's a Wabash boy, too. And they gave me his address was in the letter and everything. So when the chopper landed at the big PX, that's where the landing pad was for the choppers. They had a great big commissary PX. And so I asked directions how to get to MABS 11. And I got the directions, and I was walking down the road, and this lieutenant, he come by in a Jeep, and he jumped out. He jumped out of his Jeep and says, hey you. Oh, what? I said, hey, what do you want? And he says, you're out of uniform, ain't you? I said, fuck you, hey, I just come out of the bush. And he says, what's your name, what's your company, and what's your service number? And I just told him to blow it out of his ass, and I kept on walking. And he went up and grabbed a hold of me and twirled me around. He was trying to give me a speech about the dress code, and about how sloppy I looked and everything. And anyway, I just told him to go to hell. And I told him if he grabbed a hold of me again, I was going to shoot him, and I didn't have time to do nothing with him. So anyway, he jumped back, and he got back in his Jeep, and he told me he was going to call my commanding officer. And I said I didn't give a shit what you done. I've seen enough. And anyway, I got out of that pretty easy, and I didn't walk maybe 20 feet, and the colonel stopped in the Jeep, and he asked me if I wanted to ride. And, it makes a lot of difference, I guess, because the lieutenant, he was in starch fatigues, and his boots were shined, and the colonel that picked me up, he was in jungle fatigues, and he had jungle boots on. They wasn't polished or nothing. He knew where I was coming from. And he took me right to where I was going to see Phil Smith. And I spent a day there with Phil. And we got drunk, got loaded, smoked some dope and got drunk. And altogether I spent 3 days in Da Nang, learned how to put plastic explosives and, how to blow up, mainly how to blow things up, and
This is mines or explosives?
Explosives, mainly, yeah.
In other words, to blow up a bridge or
right.
Something like that.
Blow up ammunition caches, something like this. And
so you were the expert then from the company?
Well, I was mainly the expert. There was engineers in the Marines that was their job. This was just like a touch-up course. Mm-hmm. Learn how to, prime a cap or use your explosives. And so if when I got back, if we'd run across some ammo or some arms or something like that, I could, put some explosives on it and blow it up. It really wasn't too much schooling. And after I got back from school, my company was at Henderson Hill again. This is where the friendly villages were. And there was a new kid there, and he was 13 years old. That's what I was told, he was 13 years old. And one of the villagers said it was her cousin from Da Nang or something like that. And one day we was just sitting around, and there was a big explosion, and they had a meeting house, and there was like 13 people in this meeting house. And this 13-year-old boy that night, he put 4 claymores in the walls of the building, and he had a hand primer, and he was laying behind the patty dyke. When all the people went into this meeting house, that's when he hit the explosive, and he set the claymores off, and it killed everybody in there. And the blood was so thick on the floor, I walked in and fell flat on my ass, it was so slick. Yeah, I just couldn't believe it. So, anyway, our Chief Hoy, Sergeant Song, we captured the 13-year-old. And our Chief Hoy, Sergeant Song, he pistol whipped the boy, tried to get any information he could out of him, but the boy wouldn't talk. He was stubborn as hell, I guess. But I don't think the kid was 13 years old neither. But anyway, we was going to take him back to Anwa. And that night, Sergeant Strong, he untied him and told him to take off. So we had a perimeter set up around Henderson Hill. And the boy come running right by, my foxhole. And everybody's yelling, shoot, shoot, shoot. And I didn't know what to think. So I seen a shadow running, and I shot, and I killed this boy. But he gave, next morning, went down and picked the boy up, and went down to this villager, and I think we gave him $2 or $3 to bury him. And so we didn't waste our time burying their dead. We never did on any operation we was on. We just left the bodies and let Viet Cong and the North Vietnamese take care of their own people. And every time I think, I think about that boy, but some people ask me, about, well, how many people did you kill and how many people did you shoot? And I know after the first one, I never kept count anymore, because the first one was always the roughest on you, At least with me it was. After that, I just, like I said earlier, I just trying to save my ass. I didn't care who I had to shoot or who I had to kill to do it. I just wanted to survive. And the last operation I went out on was when I got hit. And it was called Operation Genoa Island. It was a little island that set on the other side of the river where I had Operation Horseshoe. And it was a night movement. We moved out during the night. And it was May the 26th of 1969. And we moved out from Liberty Bridge about 9:30. And we was heading toward Genoa Island. And about an hour after we moved out, I remember hearing a swoosh. I knew it was a rocket. Anyway, I yelled incoming. I started to fall to hit the deck. And anyway, the thing exploded. Next thing I remember, I was laying on my back. And there was AK-47 fire and B-40 rockets coming in. And I got shot through the side. I didn't even know it. I found my rifle. I put my pack behind my head. I raised my rifle above my head, and I just started opening fire. And as quick as I got through one magazine, I'd put another magazine in. And I just kept firing and firing. And I went through 16 magazines before I, finally ran out of magazines, so I couldn't shoot anymore. Anyway, the firing stopped and everything, and the next thing I remember Doc Watt, he was standing over me and
He was the medic.
yes, and he was standing over me or kneeling over me and asked me how I was doing. I said, okay, I guess, and he asked me where I was hurt because it was it was night. And I told him, I couldn't feel my legs or anything. And the first thing I done was check out my crotch like any man would. And I found everything intact, so I didn't feel too bad after that, And I got hit in both knees, and my left foot was severed. It was taken off, and I was shot through the side, and I really didn't feel any pain now, I really didn't feel any pain. And Doc Locke gave me 2 shots of morphine, took an ink marker and marked my forehead so they'd know when I got back to the base that, I was already shot up with morphine.
What they mark on that?
I think they put an M on there for morphine. And anyway, they called in a medevac, and I'd say in 20 minutes I was back in Da Nang at the field hospital in Da Nang. And I remember they gave me a spinal block, and I still had my flight jacket on, and my clothing. They were cutting off my clothes, and this medic, he come over and grabbed my field jacket and just gave it a toss in the corner. I said, hey, you better watch it, because I had like 4 grenades in my pocket. And so we hurried up and took the thing outside, Then after that, they gave me a spinal tap, or spinal block, whatever it is. I was just laying back, watching them take shrapnel out of my knees, and watching them sew up my wounds. And I think about 3 days later, I woke up, and a General Samuel Walt was standing by my bed with a Bronze Star, and our company, Bell Company, received Presidential Unit citation for our operation, in Genoa Island. And since I was going on this operation the night I got hit, I received the Presidential Unit citation too. And I guess I received the Bronze Star with Combat Baby and Purple Heart. And I got a medal from South Vietnamese, but I just keep them home in a drawer. I don't.
Was your foot completely severed?
Yes.
And what did you do? Sew it up, so it comes up? Or what?
Yes. And see, a week later, gangrene set in. I was at Guam then. They shipped me out from Da Nang to Guam. And I was wondering, because the end of where my foot used to be, it was turning black, Well, first it was kind of brown, and then it was starting to turn black. So,
it's just above the ankle? Or?
Yes, And I had a hole in the side of my knee about the size of a hardball. I mean, just one whole side of my knee on my left leg, it was just gone. And I could see my bones, in my leg. So I didn't think I'd be able to keep my leg. And so I was pretty thievery and the gangrene and everything. And I don't even remember leaving Guam. I was still out of it, you know, doped up and with the gangrene. And from Guam, they sent me to Philadelphia Naval Hospital, and they're still trying to save my leg in Philadelphia. And they wanted to take my leg off at the Naval Hospital, and I told them I wouldn't sign any form or anything to have it taken off. I wanted to think about it and talk to my parents before they did it. And so I spent 2 months at the Naval Hospital, and the gangrene started to spread from my ankle, and it was up to my knee by now. And I told them I wanted to be closer to home if they was going to take it off. So I flew to the Veterans Hospital at Indianapolis, and 2 weeks after I got at Indianapolis, I told them go ahead and take my leg off. And I was in surgery, I guess, maybe 6-7 hours. And by now, my other leg, it was pretty well healed up, and no problems with it. And where I shot through the side, it didn't hit nothing vital. It just, went through flesh and muscle. It didn't hit no organs. So I was lucky on that part. And I lost the leg, and I got messed up pretty good, but at least the way I looked at it, I was still alive. I made it back. I was one of the live ones. I've seen so many other guys die, and I'm just glad I was still alive.
What was your reaction when you lost your foot?
I cried. I'd done a lot of crying.
Was anybody there to console you, or comfort you, or nothing?
No.
No help, no nothing.
Well, when I was at the VA, the doctors said, I could go on and lead a normal life, but I just felt sorry for myself at first,
And then what happened? You take the leg off where now? Above the knee?
Yes, they removed my leg 7.5 inches above my knee. Because, like I said, the gangrene was spreading. And the more longer I put it off, the more they was going to have to take off. So they took my leg off 7.5 inches above my knee, and they left it open for 2 weeks to make sure they got all the gangrene before they sewed my stump up. They had the vessels and everything tied off, but they just kept the leg open and had it packed with wadding to make sure they had all the gangrene out of it. And my other knee, they put 2 pins. There's still 2 pins in it now, to help keep my knee together. And 7.5 months after I got hit, I finally got to come home, got out of the hospital, and they fitted me with a new prosthesis, and I went from 156 pounds down to 94 pounds since the time I got hit. It was good to get back and get your home cooked meals and things like that. And after I got back home, this was like 1970. When I got back home, and I really got hooked on morphine and Demerol and on painkillers. And I was really into taking morphine and codeine, Demerol, anything I could get a hold of. For about a year there, I took it. If I could find it. When I was in the VA, I could sometimes orderly would come around or something, and hey, you want a shot for $10 or something? I go, yeah, I'll take a shot, So, we'd have a certain time, and I'd meet him in the bathroom or something like that. I could get around in a wheelchair, so I'd buy him a shot for $10 or something like that. After I got back to Wabash, I found I could go over to the VA over at Marion and, get my drugs. I'd get morphine, codeine, Demerol, in a pill form, and I stayed with pain medication for a little over a year after I lost my leg. And then I just quit taking it, And I took off and went to Oregon. And spent about 3 months out in Oregon, in Bend, Oregon. And I just quit, taking medication and all that.
Why did you go to Oregon?
I just wanted to get away from people. I just wanted to get away from people. So I knew a guy that I was in Vietnam with, and he had a cabin out in Oregon, so I just went out there and we drank beer and we smoked marijuana, but at least it was a hell of a lot better than being hooked on morphine, and a lot less expensive too.
I imagine.
And,
are you out? By this time, have you been discharged?
Yes.
Did they give you a choice of a pension or lump sum or?
No, they told me I could stay in the Marine Corps and have a desk job, something like this, till my enlistment was up. I only enlisted for 2 years, and I only had about 9 months to go, and I'd be out of the Marine Corps. Or else I could take a VA pension, 20, 30, 40%. They rate you on a disability. And I decided to go ahead and go with the VA. So I was retired from the Marine Corps, and I was only, I was 19 years old when I was retired from the Marine Corps. So that wasn't too bad, I guess. But I took a VA pension, and I was rated 100% disability. And in 1970, that was $128 for 100%. And now I'm rated at 80% disability, and I get $817. So at least the VA is giving me some money, to help me. So after I come back from Oregon, I went up to Fort Meter Box and put my application in and got me a job. I worked out there for till 1973, and in 1972 I got married. In 1973 I got divorced, and I took off and went to Pennsylvania. I had a buddy that I was in the Marine Corps with that lived in Pittsburgh, so I went to Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and after my divorce, and I stayed with him for a couple months, and I come back to Wabash, and I went over to Wagner's on the south side, and got me a job over at Wagner's, and I worked there for 5 years, a cutter setup man, and I mean, I still draw my pension, but when I went to work, they dropped me from 100% to 80% disability. They told me, well, you can go out and get a job, and we gave you an artificial leg, and you can do things for yourself now. We don't have to support you. I said, yeah, it's fine, okay. So I worked at Wagner's for 5 years, and in 1977, I quit work at Wagner's, but I met my wife that I'm married to now at 1977, and we're still married now, and I've settled down from going out and getting drunk every night and partying. I bought my house at 80 North Fisher, and got me a new car, plant trees, plant flowers, and I still go out and